So every time I record a video, I feel like I understand better why some content creators just have that one specific clothes that they wear for every video. Like for every content that they make, they always wear that one thing. And obviously there's a branding part, but it's a lot of stress trying to figure out what to wear. Thank you very much for listening to that. And by the way, my name is 4ID. I'm an artist and visual designer. And today I'm going to be talking about this Still Like an Artist. I'm checking out Still Like an Artist a lot, and I've been taking a lot of like stuff from it because I feel like that's something that's really resonates with what I am trying to talk about. But at the same time, I don't really just pick and say it exactly how it is. I just understand the story and understand the terms inside of it, understand the idea, and then I can put it out in my own way. So recently I've been noticing that I've been having a real problem. One of the main problems is the fact that, okay, I'm realizing there's this page that's the life of a project. When people say like, okay, I have a low interest span, I said that in the last video, and I'm trying to understand why I have the low interest span and how to curtail that, and also I don't know how to fix that in general, basically. So I'm realizing, okay, life of a project, and so there's this downward graph, or it's like a valley type of graph. I don't know what to call it exactly. I'm sweating as well. And one of the main things that you notice in the first stage is this is the best idea ever, and this happens to me so often. This happens to me for everything, like basically everything. And like I said in the last video, I get so excited about doing new things that the interest span doesn't like last as long as the adrenaline rush of trying out the new thing in the first place. I can be like, oh wow, I really want to try it, and then it goes down. So let me just explain how it goes. So this the first stage is this is the best idea ever, and the second stage is, okay, but this is harder than I thought. Now the harder than I thought most times is realizing that, okay, this would take a lot more work. It's not necessarily just harder in the sense like, okay, it's so hard that I cannot really do anything about this, but it's harder in the sense of like, okay, I know very well that in order for me to become a master at this or become a professional at this, it will take a lot longer than I was expecting it to change. Like right now, I'm even trying to learn chess, and I've been trying to play the computer for a couple times. Like playing bots is one of the toughest and mind-boggling things ever. So I've been trying to do that, and I've been losing too many times. And I'm checking, like I'm allowing my TikTok is showing me so many other like videos about chess players, like all this Magnus Carlsen and all that, and I'm seeing all these people, and I'm like, wow, it would take me being born into a chess playing family, playing chess from when I was a child, in order for me to get to this point. Not that I'm trying to get into like that 2000 something elo or something, but I just wanted to get decent at chess. And I'm noticing that many of the people who get very decent at chess always have like a long time of learning how to play it, and I'm like, do I really want to continue doing this for this long? And that's me with everything, basically. It's like once I start it, I'm like, this is the best idea, and then I start and I enter into it, and I'm like, this is a lot harder than, or the expectations for this is a lot more than I was expecting. And now you can see that the vibe is starting to go down a bit. Yeah, I'm sweating. I closed the window so it can be like soundproof, and now I'm like dying inside because I don't have light. There's no AC. Oh my god, Jesus Christ. Anyways, so the next part in the downward spiral is downward spiral. Yeah, the next part in downward spiral is this is going to take some work. So I think it's almost the same thing as that same process of, okay, it's harder than I thought, it's going to take some work. And this is me even with painting. Like I started painting and I'm like, wow, I have this beautiful idea, it's going to be so beautiful and it's mad and crazy, and I already see it. Like I already picture the end of the work, and I know that I can get to the end of the work. So it's not always like it's harder than I thought, but sometimes I know I can get there, but it's just like it's going to take some work. It's going to take hours of doing the same thing over and over again, like painting. Like, do you know how many millions of brush strokes you need to make a full painting? Like, it's crazy. I don't think it's millions, but anyways, get to the point of that ugly phase. Ugly phase happens with everything. It takes a lot of discipline for you to get past the ugly phase. Like that's like the telling part of whether or not you're going to finish your work. So most times when I get to that ugly phase in the work, that's kind of where I'm like, okay, let me go to another one. and that's the problem. Why would I be just jumping to the next one? Which I shouldn't be jumping. That's why I shouldn't be jumping. I should just try and stick with one and finish it and then go to the other one, which some people might say is not the most creative thing. You can always jump from one to one and everything, but at the same time, try and finish something at least. I'm not disciplined enough to continue and push through that specific ugly phase. So that's another thing. Then the last part is like the dark night of souls, and that's where every idea dies. Not every idea that doesn't reach the end, that's where it dies, because once you reach that ugly phase, it's like it's harder than I thought, and then it's not as fun as I was expecting, which is like a double shot to the chest or something. So most time when I get there, I just move forward and say, okay, I don't want to do this. And even for productive things, like I'm thinking about the chess parts, where the point where I reach and I'm like, okay, I lost this game, I lost this game, I lost this game, I lost this game. That's the ugly phase for me. Like you lost like 4 times, 5 times, 6 times already. And like maybe I'm not smart enough to do chess. Maybe I'm not smart enough to do chess, which you shouldn't be thinking in that sense. You should actually be more disciplined to say, I'm going to learn, I'm pushing through it. But some of us aren't really the best at fighting through stuff like that. And then there's the upward spiral. Is it spiral? I don't know. But the upward movement, and that's like, it will be good to finish because I would learn something. And this is almost tying back to something I spoke about when it comes to trying out different things and being multifaceted and not being as consistent, but knowing fully well that, okay, every time you do something, you are learning how to do it. I think that's something you should probably go and watch from other videos. But that's basically what I meant, because it's like you have to understand that whenever you're doing something, you're basically learning how to do it. So even if you reach the ugly phase in particular work and you don't really like how this is going, you probably should still fight through that and be like, okay, I know that this might not come out well, this doesn't necessarily feel as good as it felt in my head, but at the same time, because it's not feeling as good as it felt in my head, I'm learning something about how to make it feel better in another work, or I'm learning something new generally. So that's a different mindset to have in order for you to get through that phase and move into the next phase where it's like, okay, you might actually end up finishing this work. Like it's not just going to stay here. And then the top part of the, I don't feel like I'm just saying anything. So I went down this way. So it's inverted. I went down this way and then I'm coming up this way. So the top part, it's done. And it sucks, but not as bad as I thought. So this is for every work. Now I've seen a lot of works that I can look back on and be like, wow, I made that, that's very fine. But I feel like for every single work that I had in my head and I made, there was always that feeling of, this is not the way I imagined it in my head. It probably was better in my head. It probably was a different color in my head. It just a different vibe in my mind, and it doesn't always come out the way I expect it to. But most people outside don't tend to know that. Like if a magician does something and doesn't really get it right, as long as the magic happens, everybody just sees the work and feels like, wow, that's a perfect shot, or that's perfect. Like if Messi shoots a ball and doesn't hit the exact spot that he expected it to hit, but it entered the post, like everybody's going to be like, okay, this is a nice shot, and they're like, Messi. Anyways, so yeah, what I was most of the times when you're making something, when you're creating something, when you're working on something, whatever idea you have in your head doesn't always translate well into reality. Like it doesn't always come out the way you expect it to come out. But at the end of the day, you created something. So that's a different feeling. And most times when you go past that phase and be like, okay, it sucks, but I like it anyways, I created something that's better than I thought, you can leave it alone, and then 2 months later when you look at it, you're like, oh wow, I made that, like that's actually beautiful. And most times in hindsight, that's when we actually see the amount of work that we've done. Like there are many works that I actually pushed through ugly phases and I'm like, I'm not really happy with this one. But then when I look back at it, I'm like, wow, this is a masterpiece. And by the time I'm even saying this is a masterpiece, I've learned so much from that particular work I've taken that idea into another work, and I've made like 3-4 other masterpieces in my head. I don't know whether they're actually masterpieces, but I've made like 3 or 4 other masterpieces that I can be very proud of in that space of time. So most times, just in order for you to push through something, and I'm telling myself, I'm not telling you, maybe you should listen to that, but I'm telling myself, in order for you to push through something and be able to create, even when you don't feel like creating, you have to understand that going through that downward spiral and then moving up from there and creating that like V-shaped graph or something, you need to understand that your ugly phase has to be pushed through. You can't just leave every work at the ugly phase, because you will just have a lot of work in progress. Like I wish I could show you. Like I have a lot of work in progress on my tablet. And I think it's easier to do that with your tablet, because then you're not really wasting paint or something. It's just there. It's easy for you to leave it alone and go on to another thing, as opposed to painting on canvas, and then when you finish the painting, you're like, I really wasted this paint. So you have to finish. You have to commit to a particular work, and that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to do a lot more. I'm trying to do a lot more like traditional paintings, just so that I can commit more and finish something in a way that, okay, I can see the end product and it's more tangible for me. So that's basically it. Hope you like this video. If you did, make sure to leave that like, and don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share. Leave a like, just let the algorithm know that you really like this video and they might show it to more people. Thank you very much for listening again, and I remain 4ID.